So we'll start with a prayer as we usually do. So just the way you feel comfortable, whether you close your eyes or not, it's important that you feel comfortable there. And we invite everyone to just leave aside, outside of this room if you can, all the stress of this day and bring inside here good feelings, good thoughts, positive thoughts that will help us connect. We raise our thoughts to the Divine Spirit, asking for strength, asking for courage, that we can always overcome our all weakness, so we can overcome our weak points in our life on moral aspects. We can leave aside our selfishness and bring up to our lives the giving and donations and our time to help others. Then we raise our thoughts to the poor people and all of those in suffering, bringing to them good vibrations and good thoughts, and if possible, any donations that we can, whether physical, time, or finances. We thanks for being here today. We thanks for currently utilizing this physical body that's given to us in this life, that will permits us to interact and having relationships in the material world. So again, that we have strength to live and develop spiritually and morally. Thank you. Right, so the topic for today, we'll get this started slow. I'll start with a starting point on Spiritism, for those that are new here, for example. Spiritism is a doctrine that combines science, philosophy and religion. So, and the first book was written in 1853. And since then they've been reviewed and new editions came, but still pretty much close to what it was in 1853. So, and who wrote this was Allan Kardec in France. And this book was actually written by questioning the spirits in several mediumship sessions, where he was asking the spirits the same question over and over and again to see if he would get the same answers. And certainly those questions that had the same answers, he would actually start writing them down. And after a few months, he wrote this book with close to 1,000 questions. And nowadays it has more than 1,000 questions. So the book is actually divided in 4 sessions. The first session is the science of Spiritism. Interestingly, it was written that way for a reason. The second session is the spiritual aspect, is the mediumship aspect. The third session is the religion aspect of Spiritism. And the fourth and last session is the philosophical aspect of Spiritism. Interesting, if you start thinking about religion, especially at that time, in 19th centuries, after the Inquisition, it all happened, in the last few centuries. Religion was really down at the time. No one would believe in religion. Everyone was very skeptical because there was so much bad doings in the past. And if you look, the way this book was written started with the science aspect of it. So it was trying to bring the rational thinking about the universe. It's not about religion, it's about the universe. It's about our existence, about the planet Earth, the galaxy, and all the planets around us. So that's why Allan Kardec started actually compiling this book, starting with science. Then came what? The spiritual aspect. Broadening our minds in trying to show us that we are not alone. We are not just this. We are beyond this. Beyond material aspects of life. Then what happens after? He brought in what was the taboo at the time, religion. But before that, he brought rational thinking, right? The science, so understanding the universe, the boom, how it started. That's where it is in that beginning of that book. And there is every single session of the Spiritist book, which is this first book, has a detailed book written down. So for the first session, we have Genesis, which is a very descriptive book about science. The second session comes Mediumship, which is about all the spiritual communications. Then comes the religion book. The third session, which is the Gospel according to the Spiritism. And then comes this fourth session, which is selling things in English. Forgot that. Heaven. Huh? Heaven and hell. Heaven and hell. Thanks, sorry. Yes, which is the philosophical aspect. So, and those books came after. He got every session of the first book and sat down with the spirits and wrote those books, specifically for every single aspect of the Spiritism. But today, we're going to talk about the second session. Its introduction is just bringing understanding the importance of mediumship. Okay? Which is the first session, is a spiritual communication. If my computer works, I can show you some slides, but it hasn't worked yet. Fine. So, the Allan Kardec with the Spirits try to bring to us an understanding of the importance of mediumship. And we ask ourselves, do we consider ourselves mediums? Do we? Who is a medium? Who has mediumship skills? This is probably the key message for tonight. The answer for this question is the key message for tonight. We need to take this home for life. Not for this life, every life we have after this one. So, the message here is that we all mediums in different levels, with different type of mediumship, with different missions, with different skills. Emmanuel defines quite interestingly in one of his books that mediumship is another sense. Vision, hearing, senses. You can help me with that. You're Australian, you're English speaking. Taste, what's it called? Taste? Okay. Hearing, vision, smell, touch. Yes, thanks. And then mediumship is the next one, as a sense. This medium book says, which Allan Kardec says, interestingly, that vision is a property of the spirit. It's not property of us as a physical body. It's not property of our eyes. Vision, hearing, is a property and belongs to the spirit. We bring to us and we use our physical body as a tool, as a machine, through our eyes, through our nose, through our hearing, to connect with the material world. But up there, we're still using our vision. We're using hearing. We use our senses in different ways, but it's a property of the spirits. Therefore, mediumship is a property of the spirits. Interestingly, the direction of communication is a little bit different in some ways with us here. We are looking and using our body to look that way. With mediumship, we are working both ways, right? So we are connecting there, from here to there. Certainly there's connection back to here. But with vision, most of us, the connection with these eyes here is here from spiritual aspects to material aspects, right? You understand that? Same as smell, hearing, touch. It's more connection. It's allowing us to be here and sensing the material aspects of it. Right? Okay? So I hope I'm going to have slides to get there, but that's what it is. The spiritual, going back to the Spiritist book, on the section 2 of the Spiritist book, we talked many questions about spiritual connections and our relationship with the spirits around us. There's a question that says, I think it's 453, if I remember now. Do you think you can get started for me? Maybe you can. Let's just start there on the same point. That says, can spirit read our thoughts? Can they? So, they can. They can more than we think. If not, our thoughts are pretty much driven by them and actions most of the time. So, if we take this to our daily life, in our relationships, whether it's a relationship at work, with friends, as we get together, as we're in a pub drinking, as we are gathering a party, as we are having, girls' night, boys' night, we are having relationships, right? And even with our family, whether it's parents, our kids, our boyfriend, girlfriend, those relationships, how much of that is actually influenced by the spirits out there? How much we think about the others and they think about us? How much we speak and our words are primarily our words or not? How much we are in surveillance ourselves? That means we are aware of their presence in our lives to then communicate primarily with our words and our thoughts. So this is probably comes the importance of mediumship, understanding what mediumship is about, and beyond that, understanding that mediumship is within all of us. Every single human being is, in the first place, a spirit. We are spirits living an incarnated life, but primarily we're spirits living this life at the moment. And that changed concept of life. Again, changed how we relate to others. Changed how we see us as beings, so humans. So it changed many aspects. So if we never understand mediumship, we can, not that we will, we can be driven in life to pathways that can be quite dangerous, especially for those that have a more, not to say advanced, but a more sensitive or open mediumship skills that are not managed well. That means we are open to connections more than others. If you look at a channel of connection, I mean, a very common word in English is channeling. So when we talk about clairvoyance and channeling, that's the common word we used. So we are channeling that, we are connecting, we allow connection. So how much of that channel is so fluent that we allow that constant communication? And to what point we have control of it? And that's where the psychology system, the mental health system is loaded with patients. How many of them, not all of them, please don't get me wrong, but how many of them are actually primarily a spiritual influence? How many of them are actually a mediumship not well managed or actually not being aware of it? How many? We know from histories and books that we read, from reports from spiritual centers in Brazil, maybe here as well in Sydney, there are reports of people coming to us to spiritual centers that have been to psychiatrists and psychologists, and never could get well, and they come and they experience treatment, session treatment, not just one, several, and they find solutions for that. I'm not saying we are doctors, please don't get me wrong, but I think this needs to be taken into consideration. We are aware of it. So understanding mediumship is important for all of us. It's not only those that understanding mediumship is for all of us. It's very important. And comes again, we can't learn without studying. I'm just going to probably skip what I have already talked about. It's all about the book, the Mediumship book, because this is the main book that we should all read it and study, not just read, study it. Read and read again and stop and reflect. So I'm just going to move on to those points. So again, this is probably a key findings in the book, in the introduction chapter, that say many practitioners face difficulties due to practitioners, you're saying that mediums and us as mediums, having mediumship skills, due to a lack of knowledge regarding the functional principles of the Spiritism and spiritual connections that are said. While everyone possesses the potential to become a medium, again, we all are mediums, but we lack the knowledge and awareness. Kardec argues against the creation of overly simplistic manuals for spirit communication. This was reviewed, and it was decided that a simple manual would be very dangerous, because people would probably not really understand well and dive in situations that could put them in high risks. What is the risk? I think it's a good point here for us to talk about. What are those risks? What's dangerous about it? Yeah, it's a very important point. I even actually didn't put anything here, but it's a very important point. What are those risks that we face if we try without much knowledge? The risks are out there in the spirit world. They are very intelligent, highly intelligent spirits with good doings, good wills, but unfortunately some of them, they haven't actually met goodness, they haven't actually been developed morally yet, but are highly intelligent and they understand spirit communication really, really well, all the scientific aspect of it, and they can manipulate anyone. If we let them do it, if we open the doors, they will do whatever they want with us. And that comes again, we go back to severe mental disease when they are spiritually caused. They can lead us, if we let them, to a severe mental disease, depression, suicidal skills, and more and more that we can think about. So that's where the danger is. That's where the danger, when we don't know what we are doing, if we try to do it without much knowledge. And even if we don't try, but we, again, as I said to you, if we do have a more open channel in mediumship, we are born with it, we have a mission in most cases, there is responsibility behind it, we probably can come to a situation where we're going to be mentally unstable. And then we go to the Spirit's book. I think I talked about this first question. Sorry, it was 457. So can spirits see our most secret thoughts? They often see what you would fain hide from yourselves. So we want to hide from ourselves because we don't want anyone to know, even ourselves. Neither acts nor thoughts can be hidden from them. No, we can't hide. It doesn't matter if you are in a room with 4 walls around you, with no doors, soundproof, they will know. It would appear them to be easier to hide a thing from a person while living than to hide it from that same person after his death. Certainly. And when when you fancy yourselves to be hidden from every eye, you have often a crowd of spirits around you and watching you. I think it's clear that we talk about that. Question 459. Do spirits influence our thoughts and our actions, which I have said? Yes, they do. The influence upon them is greater than you suppose. For it's very often they who direct both thoughts and actions. Again, this is probably the next question. So 460. I'm not sure that's missing something there, sorry. Have we had some thoughts that originate with ourselves and others that are suggested to us? Your soul is a spirit who thinks. You must have observed that many thoughts, and frequently very opposite ones, come into your mind's reference to the same subject and at the same time. In such cases, some of them are your own and some are ours. So remember this, when I say ours, because this is the Spirit's answering the questions to Allan Kardec. This is the cause of your uncertainties, because you have thus in your mind two ideas that are opposed to each other. I think that's very common to everyone, isn't it? How many times we have two thoughts and don't know which one we follow? How we decide it. This was just a highlighted paragraph among those questions, and I decided to put it here. It is useful to us to be able to distinguish clearly between your own thoughts and those which are not ours. God would give us them, but He hasn't. So, the same way He gave the idea that we can distinguish day and night, as you can see, we haven't been allowed, in theory, to be able to differentiate what thoughts are ours and what thoughts aren't. When we talk about developing mediumship, we are talking about improving this awareness, where we become more aware of what's ours, what's not. And now is very clear. But as we develop mediumship, our mediumship skills, we start actually being more aware and say, oh, that's not mine. Oh, what I said there, shouldn't have said that, and I don't think it was mine. I let that go through. Correct? When we develop mediumship, we become aware of it. Sometimes we can't prevent it, but we do. How many times we have family discussions, whether it's with parents, partners, or kids who have kids, and that discussion becomes a bit more fiery, a bit more loud. And in majority of the time, there's a lot of influence around us, instigating more the fiery aspect of it. And many of those words that come out from our mouth without thinking have been actually induced, most of them. So that sometimes, with our philosophy, we always try to stimulate everyone to protect your household with our own thoughts. Be under surveillance, be vigilant of our thoughts and the way we think about ourselves, others, and things. Not just others. Frustration is the result of our ego. So there is a calculation that's actually said by Francisco Xavier, who knows them, Chico, that said, he was questioned, how do I know if I've got inflated ego? His answer was, how many times do you get offended? So it's simple. If our ego is well under control, we don't get offended very often, right? Yeah. So I'm just going to throw this here. Again, we are Christians and we follow the guidance of Jesus as a very enlightened spirit that had been here. And there are many questions about whether Jesus was a medium. And the answer on the medium's book is that it's actually on the Genesis book, which is part of the first section of the Spirit's book, which is the science aspect of the Spiritism, says that Jesus would not qualify as a medium. For the medium is an intermediated, an instrument of disembodied spirits. Christ, in turn, did not need assistance, for he was the one who watched others. There was a little bit more there, and one of the paragraphs said, who would have the courage of introduce its own thoughts into Jesus' thoughts and influence Jesus' thoughts? So Jesus he could live in both scenarios of life. He was connected to both 24/7 all the time. So he lived both worlds, and he could see everyone internally and everyone's thoughts. So, and he knew exactly what was going on with every single person that was actually in front of him or around him. Now, every single person that touched him, he knows who touched him. We have all that story behind that, which we're not going to go in details today. But he could sense every single energy around him, and whoever was thinking what he needs by thoughts and reading their thoughts, he would know. So he was connected to both and to everyone. If you look at the science aspect of it, the magnitude of his energy and magnetism was immense, unmeasurable. There's books reading, if you read some books, for example, Maria de Nazareth, it's a book that talks about how the planet was prepared over decades and centuries, some centuries, to receive him. So much that had to be done to prepare for him to be able to be here energy-wise, to be able to handle our energy. There was a lot done over probably centuries. There was a preparation, a preparedness for him to be here that took a lot of work. And this is our last question, and then we're going to finish. And this last question, as you can read the question, is how we can be ready, how we can prepare ourselves, how we can neutralize the influence of spirits. Sometimes not even neutralizing it, it's just understand, be aware of it, and not acting with it in ways that you are obeying it when it's not meant to be obeyed. By doing only what's right? We know what's right. We know. And putting all your trust in God, you repel the influence of inferior spirits and prevent them from obtaining power over you. Take care not to listen to the suggestions of spirits who inspire you with evil thoughts. Stir up discord among you and excite in your evil passions. Distrust especially those who flatter your pride, for in so doing, they attack you on your weakness side. This is why Jesus makes you say in the Lord's Prayer, let us not succumb to temptations, but deliver us from evil. It is, as we said before, we are constantly being influenced all the time. There is I think comes from Emmanuel, forgive me if that's not right, but it's a quite interesting saying. Forgive me, it was actually Chico Xavier that said in a questioning that every day we wear our clothes. Every night we take it out. We leave it and put it aside to rest. And every morning we wake up again, wear it again. What is our clothes? Our body. Sleeping means we leave the body, partially. We are living on the spirit world. We are there. Our dreamings is pretty much our life there. That's what we can remember. We are not allowed to remember everything. But we are there. We are living that side of life. We come back every morning. We come back inside again. We wear it again. We live life here. We sleep again. We put it aside. If we can live life understanding those aspects of life, and again, understanding that we are spirits having a material life, which is a temporary life. It's just a tool, a gift that's given to us to allow us to develop morally and spiritually. We will live life different. We have different relationships. We value other things in life. We potentially will see mistakes and wrongdoings in different ways with forgiveness. We understand there's weakness in everyone. Everyone is allowed to make mistakes. Everyone can get offended as ourselves. And that's okay. We always have second chances. We always have second chances to forgive as well and forgive ourselves. So if we can live life that way, it can be different. Okay. Thank you. Have a final pray. Thanks God for the thoughts for tonight, and that we open our heart to allow that to sink in and propose for changes in ourselves, that we can be more forgiving, we can be more loving and giving. We can see others as equal, and that everyone has mistakes and everyone has weakness. And also everyone has good doings and good things that can be valued among everyone. Thanks God for everything. Praying in English is very challenging for me.